Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really tough story, a government program that forcibly sterilized thousands of indigenous women. Yeah, you heard that right. It's a story about stolen futures, a decades-long fight for justice, and a recent apology that honestly raises some huge questions for all of us.
Okay, let's start with a number. $46,000. Now, on its own, that's a decent amount of money, right? But in this story, it represents something, well, something much bigger. It's an attempt to put a price tag on a stolen future.
So this $46,000, it's being offered to thousands of indigenous women. It's part of a formal and, frankly, long overdue apology from the Danish government. But an apology for what exactly? What happened here?
So here's what's going on. In late 2025, after years and years of pressure, the Danish government finally reached this landmark deal. It's a huge agreement to compensate indigenous Inuit women and girls in Greenland, which, is a semi-autonomous territory of Denmark, for a really deep and painful violation.
And here are the specifics of that deal. Basically, any woman who is subjected to this policy between 1960 and 1991 is eligible to apply for the payment, and they'll have a little over 2 years to get their claim in, starting in April of 2026.
So, what is the story behind this compensation? What actually happened? Well, it all goes back to this decades-long state-run program that's now known as the Spiral Campaign.
Now, the campaign gets its name from the main method they used, which was the intrauterine device, or IUD. You might have heard it called a coil. It's a small device, usually T-shaped, that's inserted into the uterus to prevent pregnancy.
And get this, for over 30 years, starting back in the 1960s, Danish health authorities were pushing this policy. They were fitting Inuit women and girls with these IUDs or giving them hormonal injections, and here's the kicker, it was often done without their knowledge and almost always without their informed consent.
And the impact of this campaign, you really can't overstate it. It was absolutely devastating. It inflicted this deep, lasting trauma on thousands of people, their families, and their entire communities.
An independent investigation estimates that as many as 4,500 women and girls were affected. That's a staggering number, and it really shows you just how systemic this campaign was. But when you look closer at who these victims were, well, the story gets even more disturbing.
Yeah, this wasn't a policy that was just limited to adult women. The victims included children. Some of them were as young as 12 years old.
And you can see the official acknowledgement of that harm in this quote from Denmark's health minister, Sophie Lode. She calls it a dark chapter, and admits that, money can't erase the pain, but it's a necessary step to actually acknowledge what was done.
But to really get what's going on here, we have to go deeper. We have to ask that crucial question, why? Why was this policy ever put into place to begin with? And this chart really just lays out the massive disconnect. At its core, the policy was part of this broader colonial effort by Denmark to control the indigenous population of Greenland. The official goals: reduce population growth, modernize the population, impose Danish social norms. But the reality for Inuit women, a complete loss of bodily autonomy, a massive violation of their rights, and lifelong trauma.
Now, it's really important to understand that this compensation deal wasn't just given. It's the direct result of a long, painful, and incredibly courageous fight for justice, led by the survivors themselves.
The path to get here was anything but easy. It all started with the immense courage of survivors who broke decades of silence, sharing their traumatized stories and eventually suing the state. And their actions are what forced a formal investigation. That investigation led to a pretty damning report in 2025, which basically left the government with no choice but to finally apologize and offer compensation.
So why does this story from Greenland matter so much? Because it resonates far beyond its borders. This isn't just about the past. It has powerful, powerful implications for all of us right now.
It forces us to confront some incredibly difficult questions. What does justice for historical wrongs actually look like? It makes us re-examine the whole history of family planning programs around the world. It hammers home the absolute non-negotiable importance of informed consent in medicine. And it shines a light on the ongoing fight for indigenous rights and the huge challenge of rebuilding trust once it's been so completely broken.
And that leaves us with this final, crucial question to think about. An apology has been made, money's been offered. But beyond the words and the checks, what does real, meaningful justice for these stolen futures truly require?